Greetings and salutations to all of my fellow godlies and Warframe enthusiasts around the world. I am Vance, coming to you with another edition of the Rapid Fire Devil Build series, this time with Sunder Oberon. Okay, so this episode is going to be just absolutely no nonsense. I'm not going to hold anything back when I tell you that I'm probably not going to be showing you a secondary build this time around. I just don't feel like it's necessary. I don't feel like we're gaining any ground by showing full loadouts at this point. So I'm going to skip over the secondary and I'm going to skip over the companion in favor of showing you guys some critical tools of destruction for Oberon players. Now, the first thing that I'm going to recommend as far as your primary goes is to check out anything you want, meaning you can go back in time to my previous rapid fire devil builds and find the gun of your preference, as long as it's a top tier gun and as long as it can get the job done, because what I'm using here is probably not going to complement or synergize with Oberon very well, but I'm going to showcase it anyway just so that you have that build and you can reference it in the future. So going into your Oberon's build, we are using Growing Power, Power Drift, Blind Rage, Rage, Fleeting Expertise, Prime Flow, Prime Vigor, Vitality, Phoenix Renewal, and Prime Continuity. For Arcane Enhancements, I am using the lovely Arcane Grace. So when you're damaged, you have a slight % chance to proc health regeneration. And the same goes for Arcane Guardian, except for this time around, when damaged, you have a slight chance to get armor increase. This is really going to help you out, just mainly for survival. You still have to reference my Reforged video that I did for Oberon all those years ago, where we have high power strength, and as a result of that, we can heal really quickly. It's very important that you break the combat in these situations where you're under heavy fire, otherwise you're just simply going to die. I will demonstrate that as I will show you the effectiveness of Thermal Sunder with Oberon, but moving on, we're going to go into the primary that I talked about, not necessarily synergizing that well with Oberon. This is the Kuva Chakar. I have Prime Fast Hands, Split Chamber Serration, Vigilante Armaments, Vigilante Supplies, Prime Cryo Rounds, Vigilante Fervor, Vital Sense, and Point Strike. This weapon tends to do a lot of red crits, especially when you start hitting headshots, but it's so pinpoint accurate that it's also very easy to miss, and on top of this it has a very long reload speed, so that's why I said that it's probably not going to synergize that well with Oberon. The main focus of this build is your melee. Your melee is probably the most important because of the Thermal Sunder and what it does. I am using Paracesis, and I've got to say, this is probably the strongest melee in-game. It's insane. I've got a Tempo Royale, I've got Prime Fury, Prime Fever Strike, there's a Riven that gives me attack speed, critical chance, and status chance. I could probably reroll that to make it a little bit better if I wanted to. Sacrificial Pressure, Sacrificial Steel, North Wind, Gladiator Might, and Blood Rush. This thing gets red crits as well. It's insane. It's going to do a crazy amount of damage. Riven disposition is low. That doesn't matter. I mainly put the Riven here so that I could, make it more expensive, thus justifying the 5 Forma that went into this to get the max mastery. So without showing you the secondaries like I said I was going to, or the companion, because those don't really matter, it's time to demonstrate. So Thermal Sunder, well, I should probably showcase the abilities first, because all of them I think matter here. I have replaced Smite, because Smite tends to do really the same thing as Hallowed Ground. It does your radiation procs. It really it's not that great damage, so it's just not needed here. In place of Smite, you have Thermal Sunder, which I have to explain in greater detail here in a second when I go to demonstrate. But the Hallowed Ground is to induce radiation procs to get enemies to fight each other. I don't see this as a necessity. I don't feel as though you need to use it. I just feel like it's convenient because if you're in a team situation and you're defending an objective, this will make it so status procs don't stick to anybody, and as an added bonus, when enemies step into the grass, they get radiated and attack their own. Renewal is probably the most important in this kit because you're going to need to heal and you're going to want to get damaged. As you're getting damaged, the rage that you have installed on your frame will supply you with energy, and thus making it so you can spam Thermal Sunder and Hallowed Ground as you see fit. Reckoning is something I think I covered with Reforged, talking about how once you do it, you get a greater power strength with your next power cast. Again, just like everything else in this kit, it's not really necessity. It's just there as a convenience. So if you want that extra power strength, if you want to instantly CC enemies and stun lock them, this is going to be a get out of jail free card. Before I get into this demonstration, I want to suggest that if you do have something as a primary that you want to use, I am going to be working on a Kuva Ogress, especially since DE just recently released these epic, and I do mean epic, literally, because Epic Games made the models for the Ogress, the Stalta, and the Dragoon. And these are replacement skins for a game called Unreal Tournament, something that I played a very long time ago, I guess in my teenage years on PC, and it's really reinvigorated my interest for these guns. I just wish that they had chosen the Chakar as the shock rifle instead of the Stalta, because I am not a big fan of Stalta. But if you're eager to get those weapon skins, all you have to do is go to the Epic Games Store, download Warframe through that, acquire them for free, and then you can equip these skins to these guns, which is going to be pretty cool. Like I said, it's definitely reinvigorated my interest for Ogress, so expect that build here pretty soon. It's just not in this video because I literally just downloaded it yesterday, and I've been playing Gears 5 on Xbox. So, you know, getting back into the topic of Warframe and how this is done, I'm going to need to freeze the enemies so that I can show you how Thermal Sunder works. Now, when you do Thermal Sunder, you can choose to either hold the button or press the button. Holding it will induce heat procs. Clicking it will do ice. Now, the cool thing about Thermal Sunder is that if you do it in specific combinations, you will get very specific results. So if you click it for ice, then hold it for fire, you blast everybody away. Alternatively, if you hold it for fire, then click it for ice, you pull them in. If you press it again, they're frozen. I think that this is the most important combination. The pull and freeze, or the jerk and chill. Kind of like Netflix and chill. I know I'm going to be demonetized for that. But it's going to be very, very effective with the weapons that we have chosen. So we're going to unpause these AI and simulate this. Don't forget to keep your 3 on at all times during testing, because you will get hurt and you will die. Now with them all pulled together and frozen, you can really start going to town with the Paracesis, and this is where this weapon shines. If they get up, just fucking cast it all again. And they just continue to take dot damage while taking massive amounts of crit from your Paracesis, and you just annihilate. There's no escaping this. They're gonna be dead within seconds. There's no amount of offense that they can muster. How can they? There's nothing. There's nothing they can do. Except for maybe continuously shoot you. In that case, if you just saw, Phoenix Renewal proc, and we will live to kill the last one. I am very hypercritical of my own builds. I'm very hypercritical of my own weapons, and therefore I do not allow them to stay in my inventory if they don't put out top tier damage and if they don't perform to my expectancy. I'm very, very hard to impress, and this build has impressed me. And this is amongst the very few first hours of my playtesting with Oberon, and already I'm set on a build that I'm confident enough to release to the public. So I will test off the primary. This does not complement the synergy of this build, so keep that in mind. Look at the damage that we are doing. It is insane. Some of these are not headshots and we're getting red crits. There's orange crits mixed in there with the yellow ones. I like to use this weapon. I haven't really found a Warframe that this synergizes well with. I suppose if you used it on Loki or someone like that, you could get a better performance out of it, because then you would also get the stealth benefits on top of the massive crits, and they wouldn't be walking towards you. But the problem is they keep staggering, and if I don't be careful here, I'm gonna get killed. So I'm gonna freeze them and just continuously lay in the fire. I guess this does synergize well if you cast ice 2 times and you freeze them and you just start plowing into their headshots. Then you can really get the most out of this gun. So, you know, maybe it does synergize pretty well. It's not very beneficial to cast the fire to begin with, because when you knock them off their feet, they're kind of awkward to hit, so it's more beneficial if you want to use your primary to just freeze them, so the ice twice. And if you don't pay attention, my Phoenix Renewal just went off again, meaning that, you know, that's it. If I die this time, I'm dead. So that's kind of why I say that this doesn't synergize well with Oberon, is because you have to focus fire too much, and it leaves you susceptible to attacks from behind or attacks in other places like so. I'm glad that I could catch that on camera to demonstrate why you want to be very, very cautious using this primary instead of something else, something like a Kuva Augris, that you don't have to spend a whole lot of time in one area focusing fire. And that and the fact that it's so accurate that it's kind of tough to nail enemies that are staggering around. So that does it. That really does it for my showcase of Oberon. I hope, as always, that you've learned something from this video, and that you'll share it, like, comment, subscribe, do everything I always encourage you to do. Ring that bell icon, and until next time, this has been Vance, signing out. Peace.